Hello, everyone. Welcome to DigiFest South 2014. We're going to do a panel for today's music and technology panel discussion. We have some great people here that will be able to give us some insight on just how that has changed the industry and how we connect with music and technology and how all this stuff comes together. So I guess just to kind of give a real good perspective on it, we'll be talking about the evolution of musical production and distribution as it's influenced and enabled by new technologies. So to kind of get right into it, on the panel we have Ken Jordan from the Crystal Method. And Ken Jordan is one half of the American electronic duo, the Crystal Method. They are pioneers of live electronic music in the United States, and he's received numerous accolades associated with his involvement with the band, including a platinum album, 2 Grammy nominations, 4 Dance Star Awards, including Best Act, and several awards with ASCAP, or how you say that? ASCAP? Yeah, cool. All right, so some of the things that he's been working on, actually, there's a TV show, Almost Human, is that right? Almost Human, yeah. Almost Human. You scored that, right? J.J. Abrams?
Yeah, that was, we scored that last season. It's not coming back, though.
Yeah. It was J.J. Abrams, man. It was J.J. Yeah. And right next to him, we have Janine Jordan, his wife. She's the founder of Green Wave and also board chair of EMA, and that's the Electronic Music Alliance. She's also an environmental activist, a yogini. Is that right?
Yes, yogini.
Yogini. Cool. I have to figure out what that is. We have to.
Femme version of a yogi.
Awesome. All right. She's a writer, a hoop dancer, and also an ocean lover. Janine was a Green Girl guru, writing in over 50 articles for thegreengirls.com. She has been passionate about the electronic music scene since she was first introduced in 1999. And just a little bit more about EMA. That's the country's largest not-for-profit organization serving the people of the dance music community, also known as EDM. A lot of people understand that, EDM. That's a big thing. And Chris Bell, he's over there next. Chris Bell was nominated for a Grammy Award in 1998, and he also has worked on several Grammy-winning projects. He honed his skill from working on, tape machines and different analog, mixing decks?
Yeah.
Cool.
Before we had computers in the control room.
Before computers, right? Working on some recordings with Erykah Badu, U2. I mean, this resume is crazy. But more recently, a project, the Eagles' #1 record, Long Road Out of Eden. So that was a big deal. Nice. And locally, he continues to be active, with the growth and development within the industry, elected on the Board of Governors for the Recording Academy. He served in many roles at the Academy, including governor, first vice president, president, and trustee. And this year, one note, he's also worked on Kenny Wayne Shepherd's latest album, a first for the local artist to record in his hometown, which also went #1 on the blues charts. So that's big. And then we also have Sam Voisin. Pronounced it right?
All right.
Awesome. All right. Now, Sam, he currently serves as the regional GM for SMG, which is the largest public facility management company in the world. He is associated with this one here in CenturyLink Center. In his current capacity, he oversees the digital operations of 15 different facilities and 8 general managers in 5 states. He closely works with the city of Shreveport to not only work with CenturyLink Center, but also the municipal and Shreveport Convention Center downtown. So Mr. Voisin has more than 25 years of experience specializing in management of public facilities, including the Cajun Dome down in Lafayette. I've been there. It's amazing.
It is.
Phenomenal shows, too, that they have. And more recently, GM of a public facility in the D.C. area, huh? We may have to talk about that, too. So now, locally, let's go ahead and jump into that. He is a Rotarian, a board member of the West Edge Advisory Committee, committee member of the Best Neighborhoods Program, board member of the Friends of the Louisiana Hayride, and currently serves on the board for the Shreveport Downtown Development Authority. So if you guys could, please give our panel a hand. And we're going to kind of jump right into some questions. And what I want to do is just kind of have this as an open discussion. And for all of you experts, you kind of just chime in and, again, give us some insight and just kind of let's chit chat. Is that good? All right, cool.
Let's do it.
So the first question I want to ask is, how has the move from digital to analog changed how shows are designed and produced? And a secondary question with that is, what does digital technology allow you to do that you couldn't do 30 years ago?
So, yeah, I think you mean analog to digital, but it's changed everything. I mean, when I first started working on music in like '86, I mean, there was just, there was just started with digital. There was, there was DAT tapes and there was CDs, but most studios were still recording on tape. And the first digital systems were super, super expensive and cost prohibitive to most people. And now so much can be done by the average person. So much could be done now in a home studio or with a laptop and headphones that could never have been done before. That it creates a lot of music, and maybe not all of it is great, but at the same time it gives a chance for everyone who has the talent to be heard. So I think that's the greatest thing that's happened, is it's leveled the playing field to where now someone with a lot of talent who maybe didn't have the money in the past, they can record and produce really good quality music and get it out on the internet, and they don't need the assistance of the old gatekeepers, the record labels, the A&R guy, the radio stations. That's not as big a part of it anymore. And so it's really leveled the playing field, and now everyone's got a chance. If you're good, people will find out, and you have a chance to be successful.
Cool. Anyone else? Chris, did you have
anything? I agree with that. I started out in my bedroom with a 4-track cassette and started working my way up from there. And it's awesome now how, like Ken was saying, that kids in there can just start recording and actually coming out with a good product that rivals anything we can do in the studio as well. I mean, they can do it in their bedroom right now. And you don't have to buy a $30,000 tape machine or a $100,000 mixing desk anymore to get good results.
Cool. Have you seen, because Apple, they have their own system and setups like GarageBand and different things like that. Have y'all just kind of played around with some of those just to see the capabilities of those?
Well, Apple has a higher end system called Logic, which is a really good digital audio workstation. We don't. Chris and I both use Pro Tools. Chris actually has a more incredible sounding advanced system where he uses analog input to get tape. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, can you talk about that?
Well, yeah, it's a company out at Nashville named Endless Analog created this system, and when I was building the studio out here, I was like, I gotta have this, because I hadn't been working on tape anymore at all because the cost of tape has gone up so high, but I still kind of wanted that sound of the tape to go along with the ease of the digital recording. So this system, when I hit record on my system, the tape machine drops in record automatically, prints to tape, and plays it back into the computer. So you have the best of both worlds. So I get the sound of the tape, and I have the ease of the computer to make the speed of the session still work as fast, so the artist doesn't get frustrated, or it slows down the creative process.
So the quality of the music sounds good when we hear it, when we get it.
Yeah, I mean, I do everything at 96 kilohertz, and I've been doing that for quite a while.
Wow.
I've been doing that actually for the last 10 years. And I've just tried to figure out a way to make it happen where I can work at that high sample rate.
Yeah, we recorded 88.2 just because the final conversion to 44:1 is easier?
Yeah, when I first started, I was at 88.2 because it does it in half.
Yeah.
It splits in half evenly, but then
Were
I
you
started...
like 96?
I started doing it 96, and I'm starting to see all the formats are going to 96, because CDs are going away, so I don't think that's really an issue anymore with the even split.
Yeah.
So I moved to 96 a few years ago.
Well, I have another question. This is maybe for you, Sam. How has the technological advances of the last 3 decades changed the economics of running a venue, putting on a regular club night, or producing a concert?
Significantly. I'll give you a great example. Concerts nowadays, the guests that are in the seats, whenever you attend, you want to have that experience as well as you want to remember the experience. So you post it to social media, you take a picture with your cell phone as an example. Now that all takes bandwidth if you are posting to social media as an example at a concert. So arenas, theaters, and even stadiums nowadays have to have a robust wireless system to be able to handle the thousands of people that are doing this at one time. Now, 10 years ago even, as soon as that, this did not exist. And so now the infrastructure has to be completely different, and it's taken a lot of bandwidth to do so.
You have anything to add with that?
Well, I know it's gotten easier for people to, throw smaller events and still have them ticketed. Just there's so many different ticketing companies and different options. We still, we have this concept of trying to encourage people to do $1 a ticket to charity. And even, I think, last year, there wasn't anyone that could really do it the way that we wanted to. So it's amazing, how much, the technology gets us to a certain point, but then, not everything's thought out. So I think that maybe there's a competitor now that's out there that can do it, but it's just really interesting to watch that happen, and
I was even wondering,
and then want more
of
it.
Have you
Hey, this
seen
isn't
some
good
small
enough.
ones? Those independent or those smaller, not wannabe companies, but those promoters, and all of a sudden it gets bigger and bigger, and now they're almost close to having a real big event. Have you started to see a lot of that come around now?
Yeah, and I think, hard flyers are still in existence, and I think that they're going to be around for a while, but it's nice to know that, we might eventually be able to go completely digital on that and, save the waste in the paper and,
Cool.
and the ink.
All right, here's another one. And this is open. Everyone, you can probably just all kind of give us some input on this. How have consumer and patron expectations changed with the evolution of the presentation due to this new digital technology that's available? Kind of thinking about Coachella when I think they had a Tupac hologram out there, and how big of a deal that was.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a Michael Jackson hologram tour. I think there is going to be. Anyway, yeah, I think that people's expectations are really high now because they go to these events and they see these amazing LED displays and these incredible presentations. And to tell you the truth, it takes a lot of pressure off the DJs because we're not doing all that much up there. But I don't know how it relates to bands, because if you have, I guess maybe the screens, if they just have cameras on the musicians, that's helpful as well. But
just a little bit on that. There's a lot of competition for entertainment dollars right now. Has been for a while. And with the economy that has slipped just a little bit, you're a little bit more, or should I say less discretionary with your funds. So you want to make sure that the value's there. And so you want to pay for an experience at that point. And if the stage, the artist on stage is not given an experience, then, significant ticket sales won't happen. Good example is U2's stadium tour that happened. Just the design of their set was over $10 million. And so that's just a start, okay? That's not to move it around the country. There's 40 tractor trailers that have this housed that you have to load and unload at every stop. So you can about imagine the overhead. Now you got to sell a lot of tickets to pay for that. And 9 times out of 10, you don't pay for it. What happens is that's an avenue to sell more music, not to reap benefits of ticket sales at that point because it's too expensive. The model's upside down, the financial model. So at that point, you give the fan a great experience, and hopefully they will go out and buy the rest of your album.
Or they'll take it.
Or they'll take it, that's right, wherever they can find it, you know. But it's the experience, and it costs money to provide an experience.
I do think that the expectations are high, and because there is, you know, still piracy issues or people giving things out for free, I wonder like how long it can go on. You know, I mean, there's so many festivals and stuff popping up, and you know, it's like everyone's competing with each other, and yeah, I don't know. I hope it keeps going though.
From the artist perspective, how is that having to maybe do more shows or wanting to do more festivals? Has that affected that?
Yeah, it's certainly where artists make their money now is certainly slid more towards performing and less towards record sales, and that's been happening over the last 15 years, I guess. So we've been lucky that we've always had other revenue streams. We've had a lot of licensing, but we still count on performing and licensing, and we still are serious about making albums and releasing albums, and we still put out vinyl. So we'll always continue to do that, but we know that we're not going to. Well, I don't know. Probably not going to sell a million copies of another album, but who knows?
That kind of opens up another question, which is, can you tell us an example of how technology has made the music industry better and worse, in your opinion? And Chris, if you want to chime in on this one and kind of lead us in.
I appreciate that. Well, obviously, it has made it better, like we talked earlier, to open up the playing field, so artists can get their music out there a lot easier. And also, I mean, on the production side, it's been great for me because I'll mix projects all over the country and the world. When somebody sends me their Pro Tools session and they'll have me mix it and I send it right back, they get approval and I get paid pretty quickly. So they don't have to fly 2-inch reels all over the place and shipping costs and everything. They just send it to me over the internet and I mix it and I send it right back to them. And the other side of it is that, well, for the last several years, people have been stealing the music, and so a lot of the artists aren't getting paid, which is a trickle-down effect to everybody in the industry. It affects every single person in the industry, down to attorneys, managers, recording studios, and especially the artists.
How about the recording budgets?
Yeah, the recording budgets are probably, 20% of what they used to be, maybe. Instead of a $250,000 budget, we might get a $50,000 budget to do a record, and so we've had to learn how to do records a lot quicker, which, we're making it happen, but I think that the quality of the records and what we used to do is suffering a little bit, the art of the whole thing.
Yeah, the art of I think people don't realize that before, it was this real intentional process. It was a project, and it took weeks or months, and an album making process, it had a theme and it had a vibe, and now it's kind of it's get in and get it done and get it out.
Yeah. Have you seen more use with social media and different acts or bands putting their music that was recorded in the garage or somewhere like that put out there on like Facebook and
absolutely. I mean, that's
SoundCloud. I think that's another big one too. Of course, some bands are releasing things on Spotify and with Apple and iTunes.
Well, one of the, as far as how it's made it better, one of the things, well, I don't know if this is better or worse, but one of the things that's happening is that labels, agents, managers, they look at the social media numbers. Like if you have this many followers or listens or likes on SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, that is the same as what is the old days of you playing a sold-out show, an unsigned artist.
To me, I've seen a lot of the opening bands break through social media first.
Yeah.
And then just what you were saying, Ken, that's how people are getting to be known. It's cutting out a whole segment of the music industry as well. But I think the music industry is being forced to maybe reinvent itself and adapt and see where the path of least resistance is going to be, because the old music model is gone. And technology is leading the way instead of the model. So, I'm sure you see a lot of that. But from the venue side, yes, that bands are broke in social media, not on stage typically anymore.
Well, instead of the artist or the label developing the artist and artist development, the artist is doing their own development now.
That's right.
Yeah, A&R used to be big. I've seen or heard. I know Puff Daddy was like someone that I knew that came from A&R that just kind of went through the steps and all of a sudden became a producer and just followed that track. Now artists are doing their own thing. They're the ones that are promoting themselves and trying to get into clubs and get their music out there whatever way they can. All right, so here's another. What do you expect to see in the near future as far as how technology improves the experience of enjoying music, just in general? This is open.
Just a real quick example of what just happened. Jack White played the Municipal Auditorium here in Shreveport, and sold out crowd, 3,000 that venue holds. But Jack White has a very specific rule in his concerts, and that is the first thing he says is, please put your phone away, because I want you to experience me, not through your phone but through your own eyes. I'll provide you all the pictures and video that you want through my website at no charge. Yeah. But you bought a ticket to experience this show and experience it firsthand, not secondhand through your phone. I think that's a little different way of thinking, and I think it's a genuine, authentic way of thinking, quite honestly. But at the same time, people want to memorialize their experience. So, it kind of cuts both ways. But
does he have good luck with that?
No.
Yeah. But actually, I went to that show and I didn't see a lot of phones out at all. Like hardly after they gave that, it was kind of like. People put their phones away. And
what also happens is the crowd kind of self-polices itself at this point. So the guy next to you is going to say, "Hey, man, put your phone away." Yeah. At that point. So, but yeah, Chris is right. There was very little phone usage at that point. And look, it makes for a really great experience whenever you do something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that they're definitely going to be going towards like more immersive experiences. Mm-hmm. So there's, for instance, a company called like Vortex Immersion Domes, and you go in there and they have like mapping of the entire dome, and it can be a little overwhelming because it's actually like it's so powerful, the experience. Like, what did we watch? Like a man walking on the moon, but it was animation. I think we were kind of sitting back and just like with the sound and the visuals. I mean, you really felt like maybe you were on a ride. Right. And I kind of think that, there's going to be a lot more of that happening.
I know Oculus Rift has, you can be on stage at a concert. It's pretty cool. And look around, and that's pretty good. But
has anyone done that? Has anyone done that yet?
They haven't. I hope it wasn't part of the non-disclosure agreement, but I don't think it was. Anyway, the one thing I hope is that as far as piracy and all that, I hope at some point that there'll just be a way where everything's fair, because they can track every download, every stream, and that is easily done right now. And if they could just somehow monetize that to where everyone can enjoy all the music they want at a low price, and then the artists also get paid, that would be fantastic.
I have a question. How is music pirated, just in general? If it's created in the studio, who leaks it, or how does it get out of the studio?
Oh, well, it's not like it used to be leaks pre-release. That was a big thing, but now it's just leaks after. It's not a leak, it's just people share it. And unfortunately, like Google and other search sites, I guess they're kind of complicit in this. They're they advertise the sharing sites where people go and get all the music and all the it's also movies and every other thing for free too. So they've come up with ideas to make it fair, and it'd be nice if that happens.
Okay. Here is one of the last questions, and then after this one, what I want to do is open it up to the audience and see if y'all had any questions that you want to ask. But here's the last one, and I thank you guys for chiming in and again giving us great insight. I mean, this is helping me. So here's the last question. What advice would you give a young person who thinks they might want a career in music production or, you know, in venue management? Let's open this up, whoever wants to take that first.
Well, if they're interested in electronic music, they should definitely join EMA, and they have access to you know, people that they might not necessarily have, you know, to talk to. So, you know, we would make something happen, you know, make a conference call happen for, I was talking to a kid here that is into drum and bass, and I offered up DJ Rap. I said, hey, you know, DJ Rap, she's one of our founding members, and she's a good friend of mine, and I think if we could find enough people, you know, to make it worthwhile, she already teaches in LA, and I'm sure she would love to be on a call and like give you tips. So, you know.
I think a lot of the best advice is still same as it was before. Develop your own sound, you know, get good at it and try to develop a following, and now it's just that you can develop a following different ways now.
Right, right. Chris?
Yeah, I think what Janine said was good. Get involved in some kind of, you know, professional organization in the music industry, like the EMA, and the Recording Academy is also a good one to get involved in. They have a program called Grammy U where there's a lot of educational events for students, and you can find maybe a mentor to help you through, to learn from. I mean, that's how I learned when I was in the studios working. I had a mentor, and I would just live, eat, and breathe in the studio. I'd go there any chance I got and stay at the studio my whole time.
I would echo the statement of find a mentor, because in the venue management industry, it's not a very large industry. Our company runs about 300 venues around the world, and we have 85% of the market share. And so as you can see, there's not a whole lot of venues around the world, but you know, relative. But I'm going to tell you, a lot of our general managers and on up have started in the ushering capacity, in the janitorial, in the AV, in the production. I personally started 20-something years ago selling sponsorships for the building, you know, from television. So getting in this industry, there's many doors, but staying in the industry is another thing, because this is kind of a lifestyle, okay? Because you work too many hours to have it as a normal job, and everyone at this table do not work normal hours, you know? And whenever you guys are, you know, maybe having a good time on your holidays and nights and relaxing, they may be playing a gig or mixing the next big hit. So, you know, it's one of these things that you got to love what you do.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, is anyone out there that has a question to ask any of our amazing panelists?
Back there in the 40th row.
Yeah,
no, just
back
kidding.
there, you. Hold on, I need to get you a mic real quick.
What are your thoughts of new formats like Pano that you know, Neil Young
that's
developed?
The high-res player.
Right.
I think it's great. I mean, especially for me, because everything I've worked on the last 10 years, the consumer can now hear it the way I recorded it. So I'm hoping it takes off. I mean, Sony just come out with a new device this year that plays 2496.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is that when MP3 came along, it was the first time that a reduction in quality was a good thing.
Yeah,
you know?
and you know, I really think, you know, the speed of the internet and everything was a factor for that as well, and also that the iPod could fit 1,000 songs on it instead of 50. You know, so it was also to sell hardware, unfortunately. But
well, isn't Pano going to be a hardware format as well?
Yeah, it's basically like an iPod that plays high-res files. And you can carry your music collection with you, except you're going to be listening to very high-quality files.
And what would be the you would pay more for each file that you
Well, I'm not sure what the price point is. There is a website called HD Tracks that you can purchase albums at high res right now, and it's been around for about 5 or 6 years. But hopefully, if iTunes opens up high-res files or something higher quality, that'd be great. Right now, they're already ingesting high-res file types.
Yeah, they are,
Yeah.
So they're preparing for it, but it's just not here yet.
Does it have anything to do with like the Beats headphones?
Well, probably what it has to do is they don't have a piece of hardware yet to play it. Once they have a piece of hardware they can sell, they'll release the high-res.
Okay.
Yeah, we when we released our new album, we offered a package on pre-release that you got a USB with a bunch of our old music, but our new album in 24-bit, and people
That's
really
awesome.
were excited about it. So
Did I mention the new album, self-titled? I did. Did I mention that? All right, cool. Just making sure.
Well, I have one last question. Vinyl is big again, or is that just a passing fad, or is that something that you think will, reestablish itself?
well, I mean, I don't know. I used to, carry big crates of records to DJ gigs, but when we put out our new album on vinyl, I was checking it, and I have to admit, I was like, why are we doing this? It's not that good a quality. It's not like analog tape. I mean, vinyl is something else, and it still pops and
has that
scratches,
sound.
and it's got a pretty.
I mean, if you don't have the right setup and a really expensive turntable and know how to hook your gear up at home, you're not going to get the full quality out of it for sure.
Now, but one thing is you get that full-size artwork, and that is the best thing. That's the best thing about vinyl.
Get the book. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I used to do, listening to records, and you sit around, you read the cover and check it out, while you're look at the lyrics or whatever, and actually have something tangible that you can hold in your hand.
Is that a generational thing? Is that a generational thing? I mean,
Well, I would imagine. I mean, a lot of the kids, they didn't. I mean, when they got into music, vinyl wasn't around.
Right. I did that with CDs. I would open up the inside of it, forget the case itself, but how that cover art looked, and I would open it up and see, like Chris was saying, the
Now
lyrics, whatever.
They Google search it now, right?
know.
While they're listening to it.
Yeah, I actually downloaded a PDF for something, and it was the cover art.
There you go.
Yeah, nearly every artist I work with will release a vinyl now. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a fad.
You
I think it might last for a little while, but I just don't see people that like never grew up with it at all, like, unless it's
Understanding.
for- Yeah, I just 50 years from now, I don't know. I don't think that it would.
I think there was an argument about that on that same topic. Back then, if you had an album, you could listen to the entire album, and it was quality. It was great. Now, I think we've kind of talked about that. Artists are just putting stuff out there. It may seem kind of rushed. It's not the feeling or the soul isn't behind it. So, there's maybe 2 good songs on a complete album, or one even that's a top hit, or something like that, where
Well, that's the
can't
way
enjoy
it
it
used
as
to
much.
be too. Like you kind of felt gypped sometimes when you had to go buy a full record and you only wanted like 2 songs off of it.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it's very expensive to do a record. In like the studio I'm at, it's expensive anyway. And it's now if you don't do a good job on every song, or you don't have every song be the best it can be, the consumer is going to go just buy 1 or 2 songs.
Yeah.
And so, you got to really think about how you're releasing your music and how much money you're going to spend to make the record. Because if they only go buy the 2 songs and you just release 17 songs.
That's pretty tough. I had some. I had a fan question that came in. Let's see. Okay, this is for Ken, and the question was: did you have any influences outside of electronica or other genres when you were creating your music?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I was growing up, there was not really any electronic music, so our sound is heavily influenced by Led Zeppelin, 70s Stevie Wonder, AC/DC, Bill Withers. Yeah, a lot of different music went into that, but then it became, New Order and things like that.
Change up. All right.
Some hip hop.
Do we have any other
Public
questions?
Enemy, yeah.
Public Enemy.
Public Enemy.
There we
yeah.
go. All right.
I have a question, Darius. I think this is primarily to Sam, but also from the artist perspective, I think there could be some good input here as well. Not to hit this too squarely on the nose, I would expect that in your end of the music industry, venue security is always top of mind relative to 15 or 20 years ago, when the threat of catastrophe, shall we say, was not something that you were necessarily as concerned with and as vigilant about preventing and being prepared for as compared to today. Particularly, like you said, your organization manages several hundred venues across the planet. That's a lot to be concerned with. Can you speak to how venues and venue management organizations up to and including the day of a large event when you have 10, 15, 20, 30,000 people in the same place has changed with respect to keeping those people safe and secure, and what type of cooperation in that endeavor you also expect from the artists and the artist management and all the other attendant organizations that go on to putting on a show?
That's a great question. It has changed dramatically since 9/11. And as far as how it relates to the artist is looking for that. They're looking for that sense of security because they want to, give the guest an experience that of their talents and skills on stage, uninhibited. Okay, as far as the days of old where everyone would come in the venue without a bag check, those are gone. Yeah. It's a hassle, as you see when you fly at the airport. There's a whole lot of different layers now of security at venues as well. I'll give you a great example. We run the venue in Providence, Rhode Island, the Dunkin' Donuts Center that had the accident with the circus, and it was critical injuries. And we have policies and procedures that the general manager over there just went right to. And it's very traumatic when the guest sees it, as well as whenever the performers experience it. So it's one of these things that you have to have it top of mind. It's the #1 priority. When you buy a ticket, you want to be able to feel safe, secure, experience, and go home. I was at the Super Bowl working at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome when the lights went out. The first 2 minutes were spent understanding if it was a terrorist threat. And the rest, we knew what happened. So it was trying to get the lights back up. Now the guests were very good. Everyone was calm. It may have had some beers in them at that point, but that was great. I think one commentary was that who hasn't had the lights go out on them in New Orleans? But I was standing next to Michael Phelps, the swimmer, and Olympic swimmer, and he looked at me, says, "Everything all right?" And I said, "Yes, sir. Here's a beer." And 20 minutes later, everybody's fine. But we go through a certain set of procedures that a lot of people don't understand. Security is very, very tight at high-profile events. Any event, no matter where you are, what you do is a target for anything. Whether it's someone trying to get a little slip and fall under their belt, or something that really wants to do harm. So, like I said, anywhere from helicopters flying that you probably don't see, to snipers on the roof that you don't see, you name it. Feel secure in your venue because it's #1 priority everywhere.
I have a question. So, on your websites, the venue websites, do you have any education for
Absolutely.
the attendees?
Yeah, some kind of best practices, like please expect your bags to be checked kind of thing, and no knives, hand grenades, you kind of make fun of rocket launchers and things like that. But, we want the guests to have an experience and not wait in line too long because someone maybe didn't follow the best practices and brought a backpack, as an example. That's one thing that is a red flag for anybody, a backpack at a concert. So
I was at an event in Florida, I think about 50,000 people, and the weather changed because it was Florida. And, you know, I think everyone did pretty good on our own, but I definitely had this sense as lightning was starting to strike around the area that I'm like, this could be really bad.
It's happened
with a lot
before.
of people if it goes out of control, just because, you know, there are only so many security people, and it was it's very eye-opening for me. And I, you know, coming from my standpoint of like, how do we, because that's part of what my organization does, is like, you know, trying to educate the fans. It's like, okay, what can I do better, you know, to educate people in case something like this comes up. So I don't know if that, you know, maybe I should be talking more to venues and create like some little handout. Digital, of course.
Absolutely. And, you know, we do a lot of EDM shows, a lot, you know, around the country. And it has its own set of policies and procedures and best practices, just like any other music type would. And you're right. Severe weather is certainly something that we look at, and we gauge risk every minute of the show. And a lot of people don't understand that behind the scenes, you know, what's going on. And you don't need to. You just need to have a good time. And we'll tell you when it's time to worry.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, are there lipstick cameras hidden all around this venue that are doing facial recognition and cataloging and
There's
databasing?
a microphone under your chair right now.
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know. I mean, I asked that half facetiously, but half seriously. You watch television shows like CSI and NCIS, and you see all of this futuristic technology that the general public assumes actually exists when it's actually TV creation. But then we also hear the stories about how some of that stuff coming out of DARPA and the CIA and those sorts of organizations actually does make its way into commercial usage.
It does, and you can assume that the higher profile events, such as maybe a GOP convention as an example, would have that type of security levels. This event here, you know, may have a standard type of security level, which would still be appropriate. But yes, that all does exist, and it does exist behind the scenes. You know, fans can certainly rest assured that there are cameras everywhere, you know, so that they can feel safe at a venue. Absolutely.
Well, I wanted to say something.
Oh, go ahead.
So as we continue to move forward with technology and old technology becomes, you know, kind of obsolete, there's usually still people that can use it, especially a lot of charities. So even for like the vinyl, you know, there's some charities that are working and teaching kids how to use them still, and it's at least a nice activity for them. With the iPods, like if Pono comes out and takes over the market and everyone wants one of those, you can donate it. There's a charity called Music and Memory, and they're using MP3 players so that they can help kind of awaken dementia patients, because what they've found is that they're responding really well to music that they grew up with. So they might be kind of almost dead to the world, and you know, if they just get a little bit of their own music, they almost like brighten up and start to sing and kind of dance again. It's really beautiful. So just keep in mind that, you know, what might be waste to you could be a treasure to somebody else.
Very nice.
So
that's great.
Google's awesome. So just go on there and,
Yeah, that's very nice. That's cool.
you know, or not awesome.
Well, it's a good question over there. It looks great. Oh, question over there.
You said just made me remember something. Several years ago, I had heard a rumor that they were updating turntable technology and record technology. Thank you. To use laser needles for vinyl. Has that actually become a reality, or is that still just urban legend?
The only new technology I know of that is happening with the turntables is it's still a vinyl disc, but what's on the vinyl disc is just time code, and that will play sound files on a computer. I don't know anything about the laser needles.
Never heard.
Yeah, basically the idea was, instead of having a physical, you know, diamond tip needle reading in the grooves, it was a laser, you know, like you would have in a CD, and it was reading the grooves.
Mm-hmm.
So the theory was that you'd get, you know, a clearer sound. But again, this is just rumor that I heard several years ago, and I don't know if that actually came to fruition or not?
I don't know about that, but I'm going to definitely go onto some unspecified search engine and check it out.
Seems like a CD dressed up as an album.
I know, a big CD, a real big CD.
Laserdisc.
That's right, Laserdisc.
That's true. They got to give it something else, a new name. Call it like a green player instead of a Blu-ray player. Green Ray? I don't know. All right. Well, any other things to add? Anyone before we conclude? Well, hey, y'all, we're going to go ahead and conclude this. I do appreciate the ones who attended, and for the listeners out there, too, out there watching. It was great. And, yeah, DigiFest South 2014. It's a wrap.
Thank you.